Hey guys, this is Myleik and this is the podcast. For several years, I have been hearing a lot of conversations about ease and rest. And my guess is that you have also heard some of these same conversations. And so often as I'm talking to people who are in the midst of burnout or grief or flat out exhaustion, I'm noticing the need to spend some time on the difference between resting and recovery. And so I want to spend a little bit of time on that with you today. Resting means you are taking a break from the activity, okay? That's a day off work. That's a break on the couch. That might be watching TV, scrolling your phone. It's a pause. It's a temporary relief from effort. But those things don't necessarily restore you. Recovery is an active process, okay? It is the active process of the body repairing itself and returning to a better state after exertion, which often includes specific actions. And so recovery is an intentional process that happens while we are resting, okay? If you've noticed nothing else about this run of the podcast, you're probably learning that our life requires our action, right? I've always been about that action. And in this season of life, she is very much midlife. You know, there is ease, there is rest. But I want you to remember the importance of you taking action in your life. And so I want to separate rest and recovery. I want to spend some time on us just learning the difference and finding ways to get back to our lives restored. Okay. So to recover is to actively replenish what has been depleted. It might be choosing to enhance your sleep quality, and having deep sleep over lying in bed, nourishing your body instead of skipping a workout, or engaging in therapy instead of taking a break from something or someone and bottling up your emotions. So recovery is going to rebuild, reset, and strengthen. And what's the difference? Rest stops the exhaustion. Recovery restores your energy, okay? You need both. But if you are constantly feeling drained, it might be time to shift your focus from just resting to truly recovering. And understanding the difference can help you move through life with more energy, clarity, and resilience. And so this episode is about recovery, why rest isn't always enough, and how to integrate both into your life.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Membership means more with American Express Business Gold. Earn 4 times membership rewards points in your top 2 eligible spending categories every month, including eligible U.S. advertising purchases and select media, and U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. What are you waiting for? Get the card that flexes with your spending every month. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
I work with a lot of people who are burned out, not just physically exhausted, but emotionally drained, mentally foggy, and creatively depleted. And one of the most important things we do is assess where rest is needed and what parts of our lives need actual recovery. And by the time people come to me, they're usually past the point where rest alone can help. So they're in the need for recovery stage where deeper restoration is needed to rebuild their energy, gain clarity, and have a greater sense of self. Many people think that they're resting when they're actually just pausing. And so oftentimes burnout, fatigue, and lack of fulfillment can come from not knowing the difference. So let's just tackle this, right? Rest is going to be your pause. Myleik, what are you talking about? I need more examples. Okay. Some examples of rest are going to be watching TV, scrolling your phone, taking a nap. And it is essential because it gives your body and mind that pause that you need, that allows you to step back, recharged. And it's great at preventing immediate burnout, right? I'm just going to take a quick pause. We've been there. Recovery is, think of it as rebuilding. Recovery equals rebuilding. These are going to be intentional activities that actively restore your mind, body, and spirit. And so what are these examples? Deep sleep, therapy. I'm still in my therapy, y'all. Movement, nourishing food, solitude. There's some science behind recovery, and it's rooted in how the body and brain restore themselves. And so recovery activates your parasympathetic nervous system. I feel like we've heard that a lot around the internet these days. You know, the body's rest and digest mode. It is going to lower your cortisol levels, reduce inflammation, and restore energy balance. Now, what are some things that we need to be thinking about when we're talking about recovering? Deep sleep, quality sleep, right? This is how your brain detoxifies, consolidates your memory, and repairs cells. And so I want you to go to bed. Active recovery is going to be gentle movement. Think stretching, walking. I can't say enough about walking. You know, I feel like I can do a whole episode on just walking more, walking outside, walking rain or shine. That's going to improve your circulation and muscle repair. Breath work, meditation, time in nature, lower your stress and improve your resilience. That's going to be your nervous system regulation, your therapy, your journaling, and some really meaningful conversations that help you metabolize your stress and trauma. That's going to be how you recover with your emotional processing. And so unlike passive rest, recovery actively replenishes what has been depleted. And so when we think about our long-term well-being, right, all the things that we need to complete our infinite to-do list, to do the thing. You guys really love that podcast. I think that's 219, Do the Work. Y'all love that. This is what's underneath doing that. So if you that podcast really resonated with you, and so people have actually taken the time to write me saying, someone sent me this podcast. I did not know who you were, but this really resonated. And so this is what I hope that you listen to that's underneath that. If you find yourself unable to still just do the work, maybe you need to actively recover the parts of you that have been depleted, okay? So what are the signs that you need more recovery and not just rest? You still feel drained even after a break. You still feel drained even after you took the trip. You know, you still feel, you took a couple of days off work, you went and bought the bag, you still feel drained. You've got mood swings, irritability, some brain fog. You're constantly reaching for distractions, right? There might be some physical symptoms, tension, headaches, not being able to sleep. I really try not to be too woo-woo because that's just not who I am. But I do want you to listen to your body. The physical symptoms, they're saying you need to be actively recovering. And in the spirit of, sometimes I've heard people say, you know, sometimes you just need one good night's rest and that'll fix everything. And that comes from the idea that when we feel exhausted, it's just a lack of sleep, when in reality, burnout and depletion, they run much deeper. One solid night of sleep can make you feel better in the short term, but if you've been running on empty for weeks, months, or even years, your recovery is going to require consistent restoration, okay? This is going to be a consistent effort. And so sleep is a piece of the recovery puzzle, but it's not the whole picture. And so if you are constantly tired, you're struggling to focus, you're feeling emotionally drained, probably need more than rest. And you're going to need some intentional recovery strategies that address your nervous system, your stress levels, and your overall well-being. All right, how do I build recovery into my life? Debbie Brown, who has the Deeply Well podcast and is one of my good friends, has really helped me over the years to build more of this recovery into my life. She has such an intentional self-care practice, and she also has a new book coming out that's available for pre-order right now titled Living in Wisdom. Get that. Get that, okay? But I want to run through a short list of ways that you can build recovery into your life. Physical recovery is going to be prioritizing that quality sleep, stretching, sauna, red light therapy, which I love, walking, sometimes instead of those intense workouts. Mental recovery, reducing your decision fatigue. I don't think a ton about what I'm going to eat for breakfast or lunch. I usually eat the same breakfast every morning, you guys. I usually do one of two breakfasts. Yeah. Which are, mine is very simple. I usually grab an apple, string cheese, and nuts. Go to the gym. And if I have time, I might do yogurt, frozen berries, nuts. That's one of those two things. Coffee. I don't like to have to think a ton about my hair. So mental recovery is reducing the decision fatigue, taking intentional mental breaks. You really have to be intentional about that. Schedule it on your calendar, There's this one app that I love. It's called One Deep Breath. I think that's what it's called. One Deep Breath. And they have these you can set the time for how long you want to do some breath work. And you can literally set it for 1 minute. Sometimes I'll do a 1 minute or a 3 minute breath work. I will just be quiet for a second. I will do what I call one of my raw dog walks, where I just walk with nothing, no podcast, no phone, no headphones, just walking. And the recovery that I get just looking at the leaves. I remember one night I did one of these walks and I was on my block, and it was holiday time, and someone's tree in their front yard had just, all the leaves were this just brilliant neon yellow, orangish, and they had lit the tree with these beautiful white lights. When I tell you explosion, mental, I was so I had to stop, oh my goodness, take a break, go for a walk. Emotional recovery, releasing, not just holding on to your emotions, journaling, journaling was so helpful for me in my 20s. Heartbreak, things I didn't understand, people that I met, and I really didn't understand why people did some of the things they did. And just breaking out my journal and just saying that, writing it down was so helpful. Therapy, I still do therapy. I still actually see the same therapist after all this time. Meaningful conversations, recognizing when you need support. So if this podcast resonates and you're just like, you know what? I'm feeling like I need a little bit more.
This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV. It's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
Every cup of Nespresso coffee is an invitation to transform your morning routine into a ritual you can treasure each and every day. Using the Virtuo Pop, a simple touch of the button freshly brews bold aromas and a rich, velvety crema layer for delicious cafe-quality coffee at home. Whether you enjoy your coffee hot or over ice, every sip, every morning is unforgettable. Nothing tastes like Nespresso coffee. Visit Nespresso.com or our app to explore our full range of easy-to-use machines and coffees not found anywhere else.
Get a therapist, get your journal, get some people, get in a group, some people that you can have meaningful conversations with. Spiritual recovery, finding meaning and purpose again. Practices, spiritual practices that ground you, prayer, quiet reflection, creating a space for joy. So here's where I'd like to challenge you. I want you to take an honest look at how you rest. Are you actually resting, or are you just distracting yourself? Are you giving your body and mind what they need to recover, or are you just hitting pause, hoping the exhaustion disappears? Most people lean toward passive rest, binge watching, scrolling, or even sleeping in, but still wake up feeling drained. That's because rest stops the exhaustion, but recovery is going to restore the energy. And so here's the shift. Start building a recovery practice with small intentional steps. Remember that I told you that these are things that I've built over the years, tweaks and small things that I've realized, this is probably where I need more recovery than rest. And so that's going to look different for everyone, but I want to make sure that you are doing things that refuel you, right? Not just the pause from the chokehold, but something that fills you back up. And so I learned this the hard way because I used to think that resting meant just stopping. It wasn't until I started prioritizing this true recovery, getting really good sleep. Even today, as I was writing this podcast out, I sat down, you guys, I had this massive second cup of black coffee. And I was like, I am going to sit down and have my coffee. And I sat here and I was so tired. And I was like, I am getting ready to tell them about rest and recovery. And I know I need to recover right now. I put that coffee down. I slammed this laptop and I went and got in the bed. I put my brown noise on. I put the heater on because it's cold as I don't know what. I put my eye mask on. And I'm going to put the eye mask in the notes because I don't know. I've done my magic hour workshops and we have talked about getting higher quality sleep, and I've shared an eye mask and people are like, I don't know what's in this, but it just helps. And so nothing special, probably any eye mask will do, but I just like this one, put my eye mask on. And I only napped for 30 minutes, but that was the recovery that I needed. That wasn't just me pausing, like, oh, I'm going to come back to the podcast later. That was like, no, let me restore, let me replenish, because we went out to dinner with a couple last night and I just can't be up past my bedtime. And I know that. So these are some of the things that I want you to think about as you prioritize your recovery. Okay. My challenge to you is this week, I want you to swap one passive rest habit for an active recovery practice and see how that shifts your energy. We're taking small steps this year. You know that. And over time, you will see how things change. So what do I hope you take away from this podcast today? Rest stops exhaustion, but recovery rebuilds you. Pay attention to what truly restores you. And I want you to ask yourself, what's one thing I can do today to prioritize my recovery? If this episode resonated with you, pass it along to someone you know needs to hear it. And let's start moving beyond just resting into true restoration. If you are not already, make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode. And you can find me everywhere at My League Online. I'm on Instagram, the Threads, Substack. And I just launched another newsletter with my partner called Do, See, Eat, Drink. Why? Because I believe we all need a little more adventure in our lives. Something that pulls us out of our routines, challenges us, and reminds us what it feels like to lose our balance in the best way possible. So we're Do, See, Eat, Drink on Substack. If that sounds like it's your vibe, subscribe. Come along for the ride. That's it for today. Take care of yourself, and I will see you next time.